Hello, everybody. According to Wikipedia, a book review is a form of literary criticism in which a book is described or analyzed based on content, style, and merit. Books can be reviewed for printed periodicals, for magazines and newspapers, as schoolwork, or for book websites on the internet. A book review's length may vary from a single paragraph to a substantial essay. In my book workshop where I talk about book talks, I always say that a book talk is not a review where you can either like or dislike the book. When you do a book talk, it's assumed you enjoyed the book. So let's talk about book reviews and rating a book in a review where you're encouraged to give your true opinion. A typical template or list of things to include for a review might look something like the one we use for our book reviews at ECLA. The reviewer is always listed, the title, of course, the author, publisher, and for ECLA, we also include the publisher's website, the date the book was published, the format that it's in, the length of the book, and then an overview of what the book is about and our opinion about it. Then there's part of it that's called the assessment. We give a rating 1 to 5, and often in a book review, that is the rating 1 to 5, 5 being the best. A suggested audience for who might really enjoy reading this book. And then when we do reviews for ECLA, we're always looking for the Christian impact as well. Then there's a last part that says other notes. And in that's where I might include an author's note, book discussion questions, or something special that the author or the publisher has included in the book. There are 3 questions that are really helpful to ask yourself when writing book reviews. Who is the audience? For instance, if it's an adventure book for young adults, its story doesn't have to be as complex as a historical novel for adults. What have you seen in this kind of book before? Another example of that, like, does this Amish romance book follow the same generic plot line as other Amish romance books, or does it have something unexpected? And then, what is your rating system? If 1 star is bad, 2 stars is not great, 3 stars is solid, 4 stars is very good, and 5 stars is life-changing. Well, if 5 stars really is life-changing, you should hand out your 5-star ratings sparingly. I did ask some of our regular reviewers for any comments they might have that I could add to this. So one of them came from Connor Salter, and if you look at our website and you receive our emails with reviews, you have seen Connor's name a lot. This is what he has to say. One question often asked is how long is too long, or how short is too short? Some things to consider, of course, are really what do you have to say about the book? If it's too long, will some readers just not want to tackle reading it? But definitely do the book justice and say all that needs to be said about it. And if you've read Connor's book reviews, or Galarian is his name that he uses on our website, you'll know that he usually writes pretty lengthy and thorough book reviews. From the internet, and I want to say this came from Adiba Jagadar, how to write a book review, 6 steps to take. Number 1, begin with a brief summary of the book. This is probably the best way to introduce any review because it gives context. But make sure you don't go into too much detail. Keep it short and sweet, since an official summary can always be found on the back of the book or found in a Google search, so you don't have to repeat everything that's already available. Secondly, pick out the most important aspects of the book. I like to break it down into character, themes, and plot, but this might vary between books, genres, and even your own taste. Dedicate a paragraph or a few lines to each of these important aspects, discussing how well the author dealt with it, along with what you enjoyed and what you didn't enjoy. Include brief quotes as examples. That always kind of spices things up a little. It gives an example of what you are saying. here's an example of that example. If your review talks about a character being particularly witty, then a witty line from the character lets your readers know exactly what you are describing to them. But be careful. Quotes can take up a big chunk of space, and they can also overpower your review. Short quotes will generally get your point across while letting your own work or your own opinion shine through. Write a conclusion that summarizes everything. Like your introduction, keep your conclusions short and sweet. It should bring up the main points of your review along with your overall opinion of the book. Finding similar books is also another good thing to include in your review. And I want to mention Connor, as he's great at doing that. A great way to wrap up a review is to find similar books. And you could say, if you were a fan of X book, then I think you'll definitely like this one, or a fan of this author. Or if you read this book, you might want to read the second in the series. Or sometimes you're reviewing the second in the series and you're suggesting you might want to go back and start with the first one. And then, of course, at the end, give it a star rating. And it's obviously encouraged, but it's not necessary. But if you do want to give a star rating, go the conventional route of like 1 out of 5 or 1 out of 10. You can also try something less conventional and break down your star rating into different categories. But generally, I think your readers are just going to want to know, is this a 5-star book or a 1-star book? Should I bother, or is it really fabulous? I also wanted to share with you several other comments from other reviewers. Julie, Alice, and Iron, who is one of our reviewers, as well as authors. This is her advice. Best advice for reviewers: be honest, but grace-filled. Reviews that don't tell the truth aren't worth reading at all. If there's a weak spot or area of concern, be kind, but tell it. Balance what's great about a project with what could cause a reader or a user to be careful. If there's a truly awful project with no redeeming value, talk with your editor about how to handle that. Some publications only do positive reviews, others allow more latitude. And generally on ECLA, we post most everything that we receive from our reviewers, but there have been things we have not put on because the review was so low. We really didn't want to embarrass the author. Another one of our reviewers is Cindy Acree. And Cindy says, a few words about reviewing. I would say I look at what the author is trying to say in a novel. And if there is a clear or fairly clear answer, it makes it so much easier to review. Some books have so many subplots, it's hard to get a good picture of what's truly going on. She mentions that she had a couple of those this year, and although they were interesting books, they were all over the place. Of course, as a Christian, Cindy says, I really look to see if somewhere, somehow, the Christian faith is portrayed. It's surprising, but some authors have a feel-good story with no mention of any faith. They are just warm fuzzies. They're still good reads, but when the criteria is Christian fiction, then it should be Christian fiction. And then she says, I'm sure you have all encountered some of those as well, which is definitely true. Now, my suggestion is if you have not ever reviewed a book, try it. We send out the template if anyone is interested. We give lots of help if anyone needs help, and we can help you with your final product as well. And if you have done any reviewing, or have you have some suggestions for me, some things that have worked really great for you, don't hesitate to contact me. I'd love to add that information to my content on book reviewing. We want to say thank you to all those that have reviewed for us over the years, and we're always appreciative of people that would like to write a review. We're sorry we can't really pay you for doing it, except that you do get a book and you get to keep that book. So that's for some of us, the best payment we can get. So thank you all for listening. And again, contact me if you have any great ideas about book reviewing.